Hey, Scott Luton with Supply Chain Now, back with you here at Gartner Supply Chain Symposium in beautiful Orlando, Florida, meeting with the movers and shakers across global supply chain. And I'm talking here today with one of my faves, Philip Vervloesem, Chief Commercial and Markets Officer with OMP. How you doing, Philip?
Excellent. Fantastic, Scott. Thanks for being here.
It is so great to see you again. We've had all sorts of virtual conversations.
That's right.
How do we
You, right? Yep.
being in the
Finally,
physical
person. Yes, exactly.
So I want to ask you before we get into all things supply chain, how you are transforming how business is done out there. I want to ask you an unfair question.
Okay.
You love to travel. In fact, I'm green with envy of all the travel you get to do with the family and work aside.
Yes.
So the unfair question: what's been one of your favorite trips that you've made, favorite cities you visited in the last year or so?
Well, actually, the two favorite ones, personal and professional.
Okay.
Very recently, last week, actually, I was guiding my better half in a trip to the Santiago de Compostela, actually, on the Camino de Santiago. It was a fantastic trip, and it ends in beautiful town of Santiago de Compostela. And because of the power outage there in Spain and Portugal, we arrived right when it was all dark. It was very, very special, unique. So that was one. Professionally, a few weeks ago, I was in Melbourne to further expand the region there. We just started our office there as well, and gives a very special feeling to be down under other side of the planet and growing there as well. So that's
Outstanding. Expanding horizons family-wise, expanding horizons business-wise.
absolutely.
And new markets.
Yep.
Down here in Australia. And I bet the people, the food, and the sights in Melbourne is just incredible.
Exactly. And it's a very good cultural alignment there as well from a project and digital transformation point of view. So it's a very nice potential.
Outstanding. All right. Well, congratulations are in order. We're here, of course, at Gartner Supply Chain Symposium in Orlando, as I mentioned. Nice, cooler Orlando. It's not 115 degrees yet.
It's reasonable, right? I know.
So I want to start with the Magic Quadrant.
Yeah.
And OMP has been named a leader in the MQ for the 10th consecutive time. And wait, there's more.
Right.
You've been positioned highest for ability to execute. How about that? Philip, speak to the value that the MQ still poses and how it might be evolving.
Right. Well, if I look at the value, I'll tell it for myself, but also if I look at all the opinions about the MQ, I think it's about the most spoken of research work of Gartner. And there's many opinions up there, positive, negative, as long as they're respectful, I think it's great to discuss them, right? To me, besides it being the most downloaded research work as well, I don't think it's like the holy research that's the only reference work to rank, vendors like us and many others, right? I think it's a good reference work, and that's my value as well to it. I see it as an instrument, as a guidance for companies, both the ones that are mature and the ones less mature, to know what's out there, and then to form kind of the base to do more due diligence and see what is the exact right fit for them, whether it's on culture, on the DNA of the company, on capabilities, on future-proofness, on strength of the roadmap, right?
Yes.
On all those facets. So I think that's the value for me. How it will evolve, or I see it evolve, I hope that besides just the yearly renewal of that Magic Quadrant, that there's also a possibility to make that a little bit more continuous, and that you can really zoom into different facets and different criteria. For example, a more industry-based Magic Quadrant, or dialing into specific scope elements. So I hope those are two evolutions that it can go through in the next years.
Outstanding. On the your previous points,
Right.
in terms of it being, you see it being a helpful signal,
Right.
but ideally one of many signals. As
Exactly.
companies kind of figure out
Yeah, indeed.
excel companies out there excelling in their sectors and their markets and their services, and also to explore new providers, perhaps.
Absolutely. Yep. And that's why I hope also that it's an instrument where new solutions come in, some come out, and at least it's a good reference point to further build onto, indeed.
And Phil, the other thing that you mentioned, I think is really relevant on a variety of levels, is it's good to have professional debate about the topics of our time. Whether we're talking about Magic Quadrant or any aspect
Right.
of global business, right?
Yep.
That's how we make advancements.
Exactly. That's how we learn.
That's right. It's how we learn.
Yes.
So break stuff and then
It,
put it back together, right?
Indeed. Yes.
All right, let's talk about digital transformation, right? Digital transformation. I want to get your thoughts on the contributions that companies out there should expect from their solution vendors?
Yeah.
What should they expect to contribute?
It's very broad, of course, right? I can talk a lot about what I think should be expected from solution providers in their digital transformations or in companies' digital transformations. I want to zoom in on two aspects. One is that I feel like before they even start the digital transformation, they should expect from a solution provider to do the right readiness assessment so that there can be a genuine assessment of whether it's on data, on organization, on having defined the right roles, the base for change, and give recommendations there. It might not be the right time to start it, the digital transformation, and be honest and open about that. I think true recommendations around that could be a very valuable contribution ahead of the digital transformation. On the other hand, I feel like another important aspect is while you go through the design and define the value framework and the expectations and so to give honest and direct feedback on say, okay, you're not following the right recommendation or the best practice, you're just copying as is processes. Don't do that. And be genuine and vocal about it and not just follow to get into the customization route like many companies do.
Candor and being genuine, authentic, and frank.
Yes.
That's a hallmark, timeless hallmark.
Yeah.
Perhaps my thought is at the speed of which global supply chain and global business and humanity is moving at these days,
right?
We almost need to be more frank.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I think so. Yeah. I think that's the most constructive way to make it valuable on the long run and create real long-term partnerships.
Yeah. Well said. Okay. The golden age of supply chain tech, and you are a big player in this golden age, right? AI being one of the key cogs in this engine, and there's lots of takes on AI as well. There's lots of companies doing big things with AI.
Right.
There's lots of companies that are frustrated with how to find a good, practical, outcome-producing starting point, right? Yeah. And all points in between. I want to ask you, what would be your advice for those business leaders out there that are trying to find a real practical and powerful starting point with AI?
Yeah. I feel very in sync with a couple of the speakers this week, both from the practitioner side as well as from Gartner, about one clear message: embrace it, pioneer it, define kind of like what are the right value cases that you want to invest in and co-invest in, co-innovate on together with solution providers, and then see what gives you that incremental value to be ready for and to move on. Whether that's, for example, Gen AI initiatives, whether that is explainable AI, whether that is testing out AI engines to then see how they can uplift the value in the next steps and so, but embrace it and start pioneering. Don't wait.
Outstanding. And do you find that a really targeted, measured approach with a sound business case that's been well communicated to the organization so they know the why? Has that helped?
Knowing the why, knowing, let's say, the expected outcome, or look at that incrementally. For example, use, we call it Unison Companion. So it's our Gen AI companion to uplift, let's say, whether it's adoption or productivity and so forth, but define then like how that can happen and co-innovate on that. That to me is an important element to going to the next stage.
Well said. Well said. We're going to make a hard shift here.
Okay.
Because we're going to talk talent. We've already talked tech.
Right.
Now we're going to talk talent. And one of my favorite things to think about is how in this golden age of supply chain tech, it's really fascinating to see what's taking place, right?
Right.
Especially when companies lean into the art of the possible and are truly open to changing how things have always been done, right? Because oftentimes we can enable our team members to find success easier. We can give them time back, and we can open up where they can spend that time on much more fulfilling, satisfying aspects, right? Before I'm going to ask you a question, comment on that first, because this is really, I think this is an imperative for business leadership right now.
Yeah, and I think it's the biggest success driver or enabler or disabler for success in any digital transformation. It's the talent that is embedded in it, the role expectation as well, the driver behind change and so forth. It's very key. Yes, absolutely.
And you know what? As I'm sitting here, and we've got a couple team members sitting in with us. The other day at one of our team meetings, I was learning how to better use ChatGPT and other platforms. Right. And I tell you, I felt like my mind was in 1982 based on how they see it.
Yeah.
I think I owe them some consulting fees
Yeah.
because I've hit it the word for me. But so, Philip, I got a question for you. We're going to shift gears and we're going to kind of look into the future. But before we do that, I got to ask you, how's your crystal ball working right now?
Well, my personal crystal ball is more like the magic 8 ball.
Yes.
That gives at least some direction, right? Now, from the OMP's crystal ball, what we use is really a roadmap funnel to really look out 5 to 10 years and have the community help sensing, let's say, and giving us their trends and combining that with multiple other sources to really feed that.
I like that. You kind of roll it back up
Right.
into a central source of future truth. I'll call
Exactly.
it. How's that?
The funnel of truth.
The funnel of truth. I like it.
Yep.
And it also goes back kind of before I ask you about talent,
Uh-huh.
it goes back to emphasize your earlier point about taking lots and lots of signals,
Exactly.
whether we're talking about incredible performers in the MQ or in the supply chain tech space, or if we're trying to predict the future, which
Indeed.
we can do better and better these
and
days, huh?
Get the right value of every signal.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So, Philip, now that we've established how your crystal ball is functioning,
Mhm.
let's think about the talent that is going to be required to power supply chain management everywhere across the globe,
Right.
in say the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
What comes to your mind?
Three things come to mind. First one is to find the right talent, to make sure that we know what they expect and respect that and kind of foresee the right platforms for that as well. And the third one is to make sure that they're ready to go through change. And if I start with the last one business leader quoted to me, the only way that you really can cause change in a positive way is by making it viral, by going viral so that everyone looks at that same pole star and goes into the right direction and doesn't copy over just as is processes basically in a new jacket or a new solution, which had no value. That means also we need to understand their expectations. And that one keyword to me on those expectations is simplicity.
Yeah.
I think simplicity is most important to get everyone along and make sure that every solution in their space has that as a key central theme. And then finding talent, I think universities are changing their program to also, for example, some of our customers, when they onboard planners, they don't call it planners anymore. Some call it economists, some value chain analysts. So also the roles change. Universities need to sync that up to make sure that the talent is ready and rightly educated.
Phil, I'd say your crystal ball is working pretty good. Pretty good. World class. It's just on the MQ somewhere. All right. So on that change, that appetite for change, that's a really important one because as much change is being thrown at us now,
Right.
in 2025, can you imagine 5 years, much less 5 years, or just 3 years from now, how that change for us is going to pick up.
So the velocity is picking up, it's amplifying, that's right.
So the talent coming in is going to have to be really successful.
Yep.
It's going to have a healthier appetite for change, I would think, to your point, right?
That's absolutely right, yes.
All right. All right. So we're going to make sure folks know how to connect with you in just a minute, Philip. Y'all got a big event coming up in Miami.
That's right.
Beautiful city of Miami.
Beautiful city of
In
Miami, yes.
December.
Yep,
Right.
perfect time for it.
Perfect time. So, and tell us what type of conversations, what's the theme? What are you going to be talking about in Miami in November?
So the theme is about real. It's about real expertise, real results.
Yeah.
And with those real results, it's a bit to our DNA to be, with our customers all the way, to be committed to it. And that links back to the ability to execute, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that conference will be 2 days in Miami with some very inspirational speakers, good panelists, and a whole solution space with everything that's new.
Oh, I love it. Okay. And folks can learn more. They can connect with you. They can check out all the cool things OMP is doing. They can learn about the event at omp.com.
That is correct. That's it. All right.
And I'd also encourage you, I enjoy following your exploits on social.
That's right. And you know which location I'm at. You can always connect to have a coffee, cocktail, happy hour, whatever.
LinkedIn is my favorite.
Yes.
Let's see. Philip Vervloesem on LinkedIn with OMP. Connect with, follow Philip, and I promise you won't be disappointed. Philip, great to have you here today.
Thank you.
Folks, hopefully you've enjoyed this conversation. I'm telling you, the movers and shakers making supply chain happen, not like it's always been, but transforming it into being ready to tackle the supply chains of the next 3 to 5 50 years. We'll see. But hey, stay with us as we continue our coverage here at Gartner Supply Chain Symposium, and you can find it all over at supplychainnow.com.